Alongside big news, the 49ers also quietly get some good news I'm going to tell you about in this video. Plus, I'm going to tell you my grand theory on the Kyle Juszczyk drama, and I got some great news that fits the 49ers strategy. So make sure you hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content, because it really does help me out. But what is the headline for free agency read right now? Actually, if we were to do the headline for just the whole month of March, what would the headline read for you? Because if you're looking at it from a 10,000-foot view, it looks like old, slow, injured team looks to get younger, faster, and healthier, right? It's simple. It really isn't more complicated than that. And that's easy from the 10,000-foot view, but it's all hush-hush from the 49ers on what exactly they're trying to do, how they're going about these changes. We all know, none of us should have been as surprised based on what has happened so far because of what John Lynch said at the NFL Combine and wanting to get younger and how aggressively he said that statement. But how the 49ers go about these changes, that is still a little unclear. And the biggest piece of evidence for that was the 49ers letting Kyle Juszczyk out of the building only to sign him to a new contract 5 days later. Now, I'll ask you, and let me know in the comments just on the bounce, like, is this a good move for you or a bad move, okay? And I'm going to ask you to consider maybe only thinking about the footballer, Kyle Juszczyk, maybe only thinking about the offensive system that Kyle Shanahan wants to run, that Kyle Juszczyk is so important in that 21 personnel package, for example. Because on the surface, this is going to actually cost the 49ers more money on this year's cap. But we'll wait and see how the details of the contract actually go beyond the 2-year, $8 million, $7 million guaranteed situation. Because maybe the contract's actually not as bad as It's not bad. It's not that bad. I think this is a pretty decent contract, if I'm honest. And what I wish I knew, however, was in the details. That's the part of the story that I want to know. I want to know, what was the conversation like behind closed door? Because here's my grand theory, okay? My grand theory is that the 49ers asked for another restructure / team-friendly deal from Juszczyk. He said no. So the 49ers cut him and let him go pursue a deal that was more to his liking. And then Juice came back and said, Pittsburgh wants to pay me this, but I'd rather be a Niner. Can you come my way a little bit? And before you know it, the two parties have come to an agreement. That's like in my head. That's the only story that really makes a whole lot of sense to me. Let me know in the comments if you feel like something else makes sense, of course, but on the outside, I understand why some of this looks kind of funny, to drop a guy, let him go, accelerate some dead cap, and then sign him to a new contract. But I think this actually does make sense to me in that sense. When it comes to the actual player, though, if I put the money aside for a second, it's as simple as this. The 49ers consider him a critical piece of the puzzle for this offense, and you can quibble over a little bit of money accelerated or not, but, like, come on. Like, Jurgen Klopp was the former Liverpool Football Club manager, okay? Different kind of football over there overseas. He coached for Liverpool, he coached for Dortmund, and he was the head coach for Mainz before that. And he used to say that at the end of the day, it's all about who do we want and can we get them? He didn't pay attention and worry about the exact numbers in the deal. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about this particular signing, this particular situation with Kyle Juszczyk. Like, I'm personally going to leave the judgment on how the money was spent this season to around that time the 53-man roster gets announced. Then we can talk. We can talk after that. Once the 53 comes out, we can start talking about, okay, how do we really feel about how money was allocated this offseason? Because as far as I'm concerned, if you go out there and you bring in more guys, because free agency is not over, it's open. Just remember that. If you go out there and bring in some other guys, it could make this team look different. And yes, I know a lot of the splash signings are no longer on the table, and that is a frustration. That's a bummer for many of you. But I'm not as concerned about it as I was before, and I'm definitely not going to quibble over whether or not it made better financial sense to, not cut Kyle Juszczyk and let him go talk to Pittsburgh and then try and extend him later. We'll have to wait and see, but here are some folks shedding some interesting light. And then later in the video, stick around because I've got some other interesting insights, some positive news that I think will have you feeling optimistic as well. But signing Kyle Juszczyk after releasing and incurring a dead cap charge technically does make him more expensive on a per year basis than if he was just extended on his current contract for $4 million. So this is a pay raise for Juice. I'm assuming this new contract gives the 49ers more cap flexibility. Okay, this from SF Data Niners, always does a great job. Kyle Juszczyk's role would have been difficult to replace as the 49ers have relied on him for nearly 50% of their offensive snaps over the past few seasons. Moreover, he has been remarkably durable, missing only 7 games since joining San Francisco in 2017. So we talked about that. Like, does this answer the older, trying to get younger? No. Does this answer the trying to get faster? No. Does this answer the trying to get healthier? Maybe. The alternatives are not better. I don't know. There's the thought. Akash, think it's cool that Kyle Juszczyk's probably going to be a 10-year 49er player with his new contract. Finances aside, glad to see him back with the team. And that's exactly where I want my attitude to be today. I don't want it, I put down my phone at one point. It's like, this is ridiculous. Like, there's so much back and forth over this Juszczyk thing, and this is a small piece of the pie. The 49ers have more than enough money to go and bring in guys if they really want to, and they can do it. They have the power to do that, and we will see what they choose to do. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this because the bottom line is Kyle Juszczyk has been a great 49er. He's a great fullback, and he clearly has something that the 49ers desperately want in their system, in their package, and what they're trying to create going forward. This also, by the way, is an interesting tell as to maybe there will be less of an interesting change going on in the offense in the future than maybe we thought without Kyle Juszczyk. The other possibility, of course, because you splash enough cash at a tight end too, that makes me think, are you going to be playing 22 personnel then? Which I think has always been a really interesting package. It's very obvious what you're trying to do, but it's also very powerful. So we'll have to wait and see how all of that part shakes out. But something else I wanted to talk about with you guys, this came out from SF Data Niners, does a great job on all of this. When you look at the 2025 NFL draft picks per team and round, which is now official, the 49ers and the Ravens both have 11 draft picks at the highest possible amount, right? Well, highest amount, right, for this upcoming NFL draft. And when you compare that to some of the teams like the Vikings who are making moves and who have a talented roster and are continuing to make moves, you understand maybe why the 49ers are not as freaked out, let's say, about the positions that they need to fill. And we'll get to the draft thing in just a second, because obviously the 49ers have left themselves some gaps on the roster. These are gaps that cannot be filled with practice squad guys. These gaps are not going to be filled, many of them, with, 7th rounders and undrafteds. Usually these are guys you don't want to go into the NFL draft. It's a bad rule to draft for needs, right? So I think the 49ers are clearly still going to have to make some moves when it comes to free agency, and they're leaving a lot on the table that the draft is going to have to answer. But over the course of time, over the course of multiple years, we could see some huge benefit here and maybe some growing pains in the short term. For example, this from Chase Sr., the 49ers have 21 picks in the next 2 NFL drafts, including 12 selections in the first 4 rounds. If the 49ers are resetting/rebuilding, this is a good way to do that. By the way, we could have talked about the alternative, right, which was keeping these guys around. Among the top 10 riskiest contracts per Eric Williams from Fox Sports, among the top 10 riskiest contracts in free agency, look who's up there. You have Jalen Moore, number 3, big money give to a guy who has not proven it yet. You have Javon Kinlaw, former 49er. Aaron Banks, another big, massive contract to the Green Bay Packers there, 4 years, $77 million for a guy who's good, but I wouldn't say he is great. And he's getting paid great money, not good money. Then you look at Talanoa Hufanga, of course, injury-wise, here where I'm living currently in Denver, Colorado. And then Sam Darnold, also former 49er, gets a 3-year, $100 million deal for the Seattle Seahawks. That will be an interesting... That one's going to be really interesting because of how trash their offensive line has been. So we'll have to see on that one. Some other things that I thought were good here, and I'm going to have to go and fix that because I made a little bit of a mistake there. Where is it? Hold up. So some other things that I thought were really interesting. If I can take Brad Graham's off for just a second, we'll bring it back in a moment. So there we go. Big picture, the 49ers are betting big on Brock Purdy and the offense. This also follows the Rams and Eagle models, who those teams poured cap resolutions into their offenses while unleashing draft-based, cost-controlled youth movements on defense. SF will look for the offense to lead the way as the defense develops in 2025. Rams did the exact same thing. Their defense lowest cost in the NFL. Blossom by the end of 2024. So there's another comparison there with the LA Rams and with the Eagles models and how they're going about business. Then this fascinating stat, there are 18 players to the NFC West whose contracts call for them to make $15 million plus per season. The 49ers have 7 of those total players. That's crazy. Of 18, 7 of them, not bad. And then you have the Rams and Cardinals, each with 4 apiece, and the Seahawks with 3. There you go. And then one more here, observation from Brad Graham that I thought was really interesting. Niners offense has remained mostly intact, and as we know, continuity on offense is very important. Continuity on defense isn't at the same level of importance compared to offense, and you can plug and play way more on the defensive side of the ball. Defense currently has many holes, but the fact that you can plug guys in relatively easy makes for a quick turnaround if they grab the right guys in the draft. And I think we could add to that perhaps the right guys in the draft and maybe one nice move in free agency still would make me feel a lot more confident heading into the season. 49ers do have guys on the depth chart. The defensive line is not empty, but it is empty of those big name guys. You've got the undrafteds, the Evan Anderson, the Sam Okuano. You've got some guys in there that are helpful, right? And I don't know, someone has a comment on this one. What's the latest on Drake Jackson? Will he come back? Will he be a 49er? Does he have a shot? Because I was really high on him last season before he got injured. So we'll have to wait and see. I guess I should say preseason because he didn't really play. But let me know in the comments what you think about all this. I think the 49ers are on the right track. I think we're doing good things, and we're 40 days away from the 2025 NFL Draft where a lot of things are going to start to make sense, where the 49ers are going to show the remaining cards that they haven't shown so far. They have shown a lot of cards, but they have more cards to show in the draft. So we'll learn a lot more about what the 49ers think about this roster, what they think about where these rookies are going to play into it based on the order of which they draft positions, based on any moves that they make to pick guys up, and of course, most importantly, who they draft. Look forward to covering all of that as we get there between now and those 40 days and the days beyond. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the action. Appreciate you guys having a blast. Hope that you guys are having a fantastic weekend.